What if I told you that some of the food you eat every day has been modified at a genetic level? Have you ever wondered what's really behind the label genetically modified? Today, we are diving into a topic that's often misunderstood and surrounded by myth: genetically modified food. Are they really as scary as some people think? Let's find out. Genetically modified foods, or GM foods, are the crops that have had their DNA altered in a lab to achieve specific traits. This could mean making the crop more resistant to pest, insect, disease, which means for a GM crop, the farmers do not have to use more pesticides or herbicides as they have to use for a non-GMO crop. There is a lot of misinformation out there about GM foods. Some people believe they are toxic, cause allergies, or harm the environment. But are these fears based on fact? The truth is, GM foods are among the most tested and regulated products in the world. Organizations like the World Health Organization, the National Academy of Science, and American Medical Association all agree GM foods are just as safe as non-GM foods. Each GM crop undergoes rigorous testing for safety, including potential allergenicity and long-term health effects. In fact, after more than 20 years of research and consumption, there is no credible evidence that GM foods are harmful to human health. I know you might be thinking, why do we even need GM foods when I have normal non-GM food and the so-called organic foods available in the market? You need to know why the scientists are trying to develop GM foods and massive research is done in the area worldwide. And you need to know why GM foods are going to be the inevitable part in the future. Here are a few reasons. The United Nations predict by 2030, the global human population will be between 8.9 to 7.9 billion. And by 2050, somewhere between 10.9 and 8.3 billion. As our global population continues to grow, we are facing significant challenges in ensuring that everyone has access to enough nutritious food. The death toll from hunger and malnutrition, a curable condition, is greater than for AIDS, malaria, and TB combined. Even the more conservative FAO estimates that agricultural production must increase by at least 60% globally. According to the FAO's projections, by 2050, there will be only about 0.18 hectares of arable land available per person for food production. This means that future increases in food production must come from the same amount of land currently in use. We cannot simply farm more land to meet growing demands. Traditional farming methods are struggling to keep up with the demand, especially in the face of climate change, pests, and diseases. This is where genetically modified foods come into play. GM foods are designed to help meet the world's growing food needs. By making crops more resistant to pests and disease, we can achieve higher yields with fewer resources. Sustainability is another critical concern. GM crops often require fewer chemical pesticides and herbicides, reducing environmental pollution and promoting healthier ecosystems. Additionally, some GM crops are designed to use water more efficiently, which is vital as we face increasing water scarcity worldwide. But unfortunately, GMOs were indeed frequently characterized as unnatural by non-GMO agencies or participants. These people demand zero risk, which is not realistic, as we all face a risk in our daily activities. If we had applied a zero-risk policy in the past, we would not have developed technologies such as steam engine, electricity, or the motor cars. They do not realize that GMOs can improve food production in developing countries. It is selfish for citizens in the first world countries to block technologies that could benefit people in the underdeveloped countries. Let's look at some successful stories of GM crops. BT corn adoption. BT corn was first introduced and adopted in the United States in 1996. That makes up over 90% of our current corn population. BT corn is one of the most commonly grown genetically modified crops in the world today. Bacillus thuringiensis, or BT, is a common soil bacterium whose genome contains genes for several proteins toxic to insects. For decades, BT has been sprayed on field as an organic pesticide. Several major pests of corn that are difficult and expensive to control with chemical insecticides are susceptible to BT. To create a BT crop variety, plant scientists select the gene for a particular BT toxin and insert it into the cells of the corn plant at the embryo stage. The resulting mature plant has the BT gene in all its cells and expresses the insecticidal protein in its leaf. Since BT corn offers an alternative to spraying chemical insecticides, it offers environmental and economical benefits to farmers. These cryotoxins remain inactive until consumed by an insect. Once digested, the protein is activated and then binds to specific receptors in the insect gut. Once bound, the cry toxins pierce the holes in the insect gut, ultimately causing the contents to leak and the insect to starve. So, what happens when a human eats corn or any crop expressing Bt? Humans do not have the same receptors or gut conditions as insect, which means cry proteins pass through us with no effect. Studies shows that humans digest cry proteins like any other protein that would be ingested when eating foods like meat, beans, leafy greens, or tofu. There are no known effects to mammals, fish, or birds. Proteins digested and they appear safe for consumers. Drought-tolerant maize in Africa. Africa is recognized as one of the most vulnerable regions in the world to climate change and widespread poverty. Drought has been highlighted as one of the major causes of reduced maize production and food security, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, where agriculture production is largely depending on the rain. Adoption of drought-tolerant maize has helped stabilize yield and improve livelihood, showing how GM crops can support sustainable agriculture in challenging environments. The list of successful implementation goes on. Adoption of GM canola in Australia, insect-resistant soybeans in South America, and the list is expanding. These success stories illustrate how genetically modified crops have been developed to address specific challenges in agriculture, leading to the improved yield, reduced environmental impact, and enhanced food security for communities around the world. Each example underscores the potential of GM crops to positively impact global agriculture and improve the life of farmers and consumers alike. GM foods currently available on the international market have passed safety assessments and are not likely to present risk for human health. In addition, no effect on the human health have been shown as a result of the consumption of such foods by the general population in the countries where they have been approved. It's natural to have concerns about new technologies, but it's important to rely on fact. Extensive research by leading health organizations has consistently shown that GM foods are safe for human consumption. Rigorous testing ensures that these foods meet the highest safety standards. Looking ahead, GM foods have the potential to address some of our most pressing global challenges. By embracing this technology, we can work towards a future where everyone has access to enough nutritious food, where farming practices are sustainable, and where our crops can withstand the changing climate.